Chapter 8 The Crow, the 11th of January, 2022. I'm scared, she said. I'm trash, I thought. She said she couldn't handle it no more. It seems as though it all means nothing to her anymore. I'm in no place to argue, and I'm in no place to set aside the anger I feel inside. Has this all been for nothing? Is this why she said she wanted to die? It is true, I'm not a perfect human being. We all have our ups and downs. We all fail sometimes, and we end up not knowing where we first tripped. In fact, I cannot remember the whole details. It is as though my memory is shattered, fragmented, and nowhere close to the full picture. All I know is that she did not want to live with me anymore, and I was outraged. It started in what seems like forever. It started when all of this started. It started with me. I broke a promise I made to myself today. I keep hearing that I'm trash. It sounds like a song that keeps playing on repeat. I'm told by many that I'm different somehow. No one can define this different somehow business to me. Why would different also sum up to unwanted? And how can being different make others want to die? I was thinking just hours ago, what does it feel like when your pulse gets reduced? Not in terms of tempo, i.e., the number of pulses per second, but rather in terms of amplitude. If instead of getting big pulses of blood through your veins, you start to get smaller pulses that even looking at your wrists, you can barely see an indicator that your heart is still functioning. No, this is not about dying or depression. It's about which parts of my body will stop first. Especially thinking of my hands and what would happen after today. Because today I broke my promise and hit my wife again. Wait, aren't you going to write what happened? Why would he? It is a social consensus that domestic abuse is not to be tolerated. Was that domestic abuse? It was. What do you think is the threshold or domestic abuse should be? A recurring theme of beating or a severe bruising that time cannot heal? What do you think if this domestic abuse was not a habit but a means to an end? Who would be the judge to say that this falls under the category of acceptable or unacceptable? Some people would consider all types of domestic abuse to be unacceptable. True, and they are. You do know that I am forced to write this down, right? We do. It wasn't like that, yet it was. My first couple of years as a husband were, as explained earlier, ignorant, stupid, and outrageous. Even writing about them makes me feel sick to my stomach. I could not accept living a life as a father, a mother, a brother, a friend, and a husband all at the same time. I felt it was too much right when it all began. You read that I abused a woman, and you squint and formulate your very mindful judgment that I'm a bad person. I agree, unfortunately. You learned that this bad person earlier said they used to be an alcoholic who often smokes weed, no less, and you add to that spicy thought that I'm trash. I also agree, unfortunately. All I can tell you, however, is that she is scared. I thought she was scared of me at first. We had a civil discussion in which I asked, "What is it about me that scares you?" "It is not you," she said. "It is the things you say, the things you claim to see, and the things you quote." As if a person is what they say, see, or read. To answer your looming question, I hit my wife because we have been living under the same roof for the past month or so, and she has been avoiding me. You can say, "Oh, he is frustrated," or "he is just desperate." but know that it branches off into multiple different facets from here on out. Or, no wonder he doesn't have kids. Yes, or that. At times, I feel like her job is more important to her than spending time with me. I tried to give this house a homey feeling by buying a TV, one where a family can Netflix and chill, but it ended up being another piece of furniture that we would dust off before using again. She said that she wanted the old me to come back and that she does not like the new, updated version. In fact, she said this version was a downgrade from the previous one. Nerd. She wanted the drunkard back, and I gave her a taste of that poison. I know what I did not want to go back to. I know that I was an abusive idiot back then. If she were not the subject of that abuse back then, I would have been, and I was. But she wanted him back. Some days ago, she even said she wanted to die. Now imagine living a normal, successful life by everyone's stupid standards, while inside you, you just wanted to end one way or another. This is what she said she felt. Unfortunately for me, now, whenever I mention that my wife and I just had a fight, a thought will pop up in your head that on top of that I had most definitely, unquestionably, undoubtedly hit her. But that is not true. Once one of our friends saw that she is upset at work for some reason, and he very eagerly, being the white horseman on a white stallion, said, "Here is the number of the domestic abuse department. Call them if he ever touches you." Looking at me straight in the face, masking his advice as a mere joke, as if he had a say in any of this, as if the domestic abuse department has a say in anything. What do they do anyway but add more harm to the situation instead of solving it? What is it with this world and its festering prejudice? I hate my wife. End this chapter. Why? Because this world cares more about women than they care about keeping a family together. I hit my wife twice because I did not want to divorce her. A contradiction that cannot be understood unless you put yourself in my shoes. But you cannot. When everyone who had learnt of our argument said, separation is the best option, including my mother, my father, her mother, and others, I refused. After almost a month of living in woman-made solitude, speaking to the voices inside my head and spending my time enjoying multiple movies alone, I still refuse to separate. If the glue required to piece this marriage together is domestic abuse, then so be it. Do you realize how difficult it is to want to have an affair, but one of the only things stopping you is that you are married? Does anyone even know what that means anymore? Or is a woman's right not to be abused far more important than her duties as a wife? Feminism is a con of the 20th century, a con that women abuse far more than men, and that is the birth of the abuse of men. Now point me in the right direction. Which department takes the issue of men as seriously as this generation makes that of women? Or does domestic abuse not address men as well? And if it does, which of the statements I wrote above will not be mentioned in the court case? The sexual frustration? Or is it, as our social media standards proclaim, once you hit your wife, you're always at fault, so the jury will be against you? I'm at fault. There is no need for a jury.